Good morning, everybody, and a very warm welcome to Paul Ricard for the start of something very new. This is the opening race weekend for the GT Cup Open Europe, a new for 2019 category from GT Sport, the organiser of the International GT Open Championship. Really is the gateway to racing the big GP3 machinery. A very, very exciting new initiative which sees the cars that we'd normally see maybe in Porsche Carrera Cup racing or the Lamborghini Super Trofeo and other cars of that level of performance, all balance of performance equalised, racing against each other. And so a very unique proposition for the drivers to enjoy the trip around some of Europe's finest circuits. We've got 5 different brands represented this weekend for the doubleheader at Paul Ricard before we head on to Spa, the Hungaroring, Silverstone, Barcelona and Monza to complete a very, very enthralling 6-round season. We've got 17 cars represented this weekend and they have got 20 minutes with which to set the grid for the first of the doubleheader races, as is going to be the case in the GT Cup Open Europe. They will be a brace of 55-minute races each weekend with a 20-minute qualifying session to set the grid in both instances. So that is the format to look forward to, and of course there is the mid-race pit stops. Well, in terms of the free practice yesterday, it was Glauco Soleri in the Antonelli Motorsport entered Lamborghini Huracan who was the pace setter from the Sport and U Mercedes, shared by Marcio Basso and Guillaume Saez, and then Nicky Leutwiler was third in the first of the Porsche 911 Cup entries. As we are currently following the progress of Leutwiler, there is Manuel Sequada in one of the Bapora Motorsport Audi R8 LMS as he comes out of the final turn and accelerating through across over the line. We have also got a brace of McLaren 570Ss entered by the Teo Martin Motorsport team. And in this session, we have got Thiago Vivacqua at the wheel of the number 7 car, and then Guillaume Peugeot at the wheel of the second of the cars, which is number 18. So the home of the French Grand Prix once more, this Paul Ricard circuit, a great venue for the teams to kick off the 2019 campaign. It is a very varied circuit, technical sections bookending the lap, and then of course the lengthy Mistral straight bisected by that chicane. And all the drivers now heading into the first of the quicker laps of the session. They all run, of course, on the Michelin Control tyre, and most race weekends they will have 12 tyres at their disposal, but because this is the first weekend of the season, they have got 16 tyres to play with over the course of the qualifying sessions, races and free practice sessions that they enjoyed yesterday. Sequada just squirms on the brakes into that chicane midway down the Mistral straight, and it is certainly living up to its name today here in Paul Ricard, because don't be deceived by the glorious sunshine. It really is a very, very breezy morning here. The circuit up on a plateau in the mountains above Toulon as Sequada accelerates down the Mistral straight into the Courbe du Cygne before the road falls on downhill. So it is looking at the timing screens, Thiago Vivacqua and Guillaume Peugeot in the brace of the Teo Martin Motorsport McLarens, who are lighting up the purple sectors on this lap. We have got 16 cars circulating. In fact, the only driver we've not seen yesterday, or not seen rather, is the driver who was quickest yesterday, Glauco Soleri. As we continue to follow Manuel Sequada as he comes towards the end of this lap. The brace of the McLaren is actually into the pits, so it will be Sequada who will have the honour of setting the first timed lap for the GT Cup Open Europe. This is going to be a time in the region of 2 minutes 17.5 for Sequada. Obviously, we expect the times to begin to come down as the session continues. Indeed, Nicky Leutwiler goes 3.3 seconds quicker running behind the Audi on track. So Leutwiler 2 minutes 14.1. Yesterday, The time set by Glauco Solieri, just for reference, was a 2 minute 10 seconds, .063, and it was very, very close. We had 10 cars, all covered by just under 1 second, which is exactly what we want to be seeing as Fernando Navarrete Jr. goes quickest, a 2 minutes 12.4. So we've still got a little bit of ground to come. There in the foreground is the one of the Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghini Huracans. I think that's JP Mauro. As there in the background is Nicky Leutwiler then in his Porsche, the Swiss driver in a car that more or less covers the colours of the Swiss flag. Flicking through the chicane then. For Leutwiler, he's a little bit up on the best mark of the session so far through the first sector. On down the Mistral Straight, we've got the end of the second sector as they come out of the Courbe du Cygne. And then actually a very long third, or rather just into the Courbe du Cygne, a very long third sector through to the checkered flag, and where they break time beam, where a lot of time can be gained and lost. But Leutwiler, now he's got the heating to the Michelin tyre, beginning to push, already approaching the halfway point of the session. And the time that Leutwiler is looking to beat is a 2 minutes 12.4. At the moment he would appear to be the best part of about 1.2 seconds up on that. So we're looking at something in the low 2 minute 11 second category on this effort from Nicky Leutwiler. Comes to the final turn now, kicks through the right-hander, picks up the throttle and accelerating through. You'll see that there are 12 3/4 minutes remaining. What time is this going to be? It is a 2 minutes 11.2 for Nicky Leutwiler, so we're pretty spot on with that guess as he now goes quickest. Meanwhile, this is Fernando Navarrete Jr. and he is also on a good lap. I think this is going to be an improvement, maybe, for the Porsche, but not necessarily pole position. And that is the case, a 2 minutes 11.9. It went away from him a little bit through the final sector. Steve Hies goes fourth, behind Manuel Sacada. Lino Curti in fifth, Gerard Tremblay in sixth, with Hans-Peter Koller. And Nicky Leutwiler again looking to make a little bit of improvement on this lap through the first sector. We continue to follow Fernando Navarrete as he picks his way out to the furthest extremity of the circuit before swinging back towards the Mistral Straight, and he's not up in this first sector. Leutwiler actually the best part of half a second quicker than the Spaniard through the first sector, so this lap is unlikely to bring him much joy. Manuel Sacada, however, doing very nicely indeed in the Audi. He was the quickest through the middle sector, but Leutwiler has just further upped his pace as Juan Vinez goes into second position, 2 minutes 11.8. Glauco Solieri, yesterday's quickest driver, he has just emerged onto the track in the Antonelli Lamborghini. Continues to follow Fernando Navarrete Jr. Just puts a couple of wheels out over the curb. And as he's been trying to improve, he's been shuffled down to fourth. There, bottom of the screen, though, you can keep track of the progress of Nicky Leutwiler, and good progress it is. He is about to come past our commentary box any moment, and this is a lap that is likely to dip into the 2 minute 10 second bracket as Manuel Sacada goes fastest, and then Leutwiler immediately reclaims pole position at 2 minutes 10.075 for Nicky Leutwiler, and that is not quite the quickest lap we've seen this weekend, but he's only 13 thousandths of a second or so adrift of it. So the halfway point then of the session, it is Leutwiler in provisional pole position from Manuel Sacada in second. John de Wilde, no he hasn't, Steve Hies goes up into second place, Sacada slips to third, John de Wilde fourth, and Fernando Navarrete in fifth. We have got, though, the time for Manuel Sacada that has been disallowed as JP Mauro gets overhauled in the Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghini, a brace of Lamborghinis in the series for the Vincenzo Siberi Racing squad. It's Hans-Peter Koller who's at the wheel of the number 6 car as well during this session. So the cars we've not yet seen really the full pace of yet are the brace of Teo Martin Motorsport McLarens, Thiago Vivacqua and Guillaume Peugeot, and they are still in outlap and warming tyre mode, judging by the timing screen. This time around, Leutwiler unlikely to make much of an improvement. The driver to watch for, though, if we can pick him up, he's on the Mistral straight now, is Glauco Solieri, yesterday's pace setter, who has just gone quicker than anybody through the first sector. Leutwiler unlikely to improve on this lap. It's Hans-Peter Koller, then in the Vincenzo Siberi Racing Lamborghini, he goes second at 2 minutes 10.170, and just as we saw in free practice, now all the times beginning to bunch up on each other as we're beginning to reach the business end of the session. So picking his way through to the end of the lap comes Leutwiler. We have got confirmation there, Manuel Sakada, that disallowed lap for time limits. He has actually improved slightly, Sakada. He's just gone up into 4th position. And that a lap from the Swiss driver Leutwiler, significantly off his best. Glauco Solieri, though, on a quick lap still, as is Hans-Peter Koller. So still lots to watch for. Now is Leutwiler back on the pace for this lap. Headlights ablaze, somewhat superfluously, as he swings through the right-hander, then the left-hander. Through turns 5, 6 and 7. On to straight now. Scarlett Edmonds, Glauco Solieri does go quickest. So Solieri now into provisional pole position at 2 minutes 9.429. So that's the best part of 0.6 of a second of an improvement for Solieri compared to where he was yesterday. Here is the Antonelli Motorsport Lamborghini. He's in a little bit of traffic now, Solieri. He is looking to pick his way past. Looks like that is Gerard Tremblay, and Tremblay has really slowed up Solieri through this technical section. Nothing much that Tremblay could really do. He had to turn across and take the corner, but the Frenchman has certainly taken away Solieri's opportunity to improve on this lap. It's all changed then towards the top of the times. There you see how it's shaking out by class. In terms of the overall order, it's Glauco Solieri from Niki Leutwiler, Hans-Peter Koller 3rd, Juan Vinez in 4th, Steve Yes 5th, Manuel Sakada is 6th, from Fernando Navarrete in 7th, John DeWild in 8th, Lino Curti 9th, and Eugenio Pisani, who leads the silver standings, currently in 10th position. So Manuel Sakada improves once more. He consolidates 4th place overall. 6 minutes to go, and that means they've got time for about 3 more laps, depending at which point they come across the timing beam. Meanwhile, the Teo Martin Motorsport McLarens are both beginning to wind up into flying laps. Although Guillaume Peugeot losing his previous laps due to a track limit infraction. And here indeed comes the McLaren, as the Spaniard picks his way through the final turn. Now this is going to be an improved lap here, Peugeot, but it's going to be the next lap, I think, where we'd expect to see him beginning to set the sort of time to trouble the top of the standings. That is enough, however, to put him into 8th place, 1.8 seconds off the pace set by Glauco Solieri. We've got the top 10 cars covered by just 1.9 seconds. 5 minutes to go. Still a quarter of the session or thereabouts. One of the great things about the GT Cup Open Europe is, with so many different marques represented and a very, very close balance of performance, it really does give us the opportunity to enjoy these cars racing against each other where previously we may not have been the case, and certainly isn't with other series. What sort of effort have we got from Joy through the first sector? It's not bad, 36.053, but he runs a little bit wide coming to the Mistral straight. He will be hoping that he doesn't get pinged for a track limit violation. He's in pursuit of Glauco Solieri as they hit the braking zone. The car's really squirming around on the brakes. Stiff breeze there as well, meaning that at certain points in the circuit they're really encountering a crosswind, which is going to make things a little bit trickier. Although if the breeze does keep up, it's certainly going to give us plenty of slipstreaming opportunities later on. Meanwhile, Eugenio Pisani has now just set the fastest first sector of anybody in the session, 35.8, as Pujoy, fortunately for him, he is losing another lap time for track limits. He's going to have to be careful here. That's 2 times he has been cited for it, many more, and he might be afforded the opportunity to pay a visit to race control at the end of the session. Another driver who's flying his hands, Peter Qualy. He has just done the fastest first sector of anybody as JP Mauro goes up into second place in the sister Vincenzo Spiri Racing Lamborghini. This is the car, though, of Hans-Peter Koller. The Mauro car is the black one, Hans-Peter Koller in the white machine. Accelerating down the Mistral straight, and now this is an interesting lap because he's gone faster than anybody through the first 2 sectors. The time that he's looking to beat is a 2 minutes 9.429. His teammate Mauro managed to achieve 2 minutes 9.626 in pretty much a near identical car. So it's through, though, this fairly chunky final sector of the lap where a lot of ground can be gained or lost. Koller picks his way through. Juan Vinez has just gone up into 4th position, 2 minutes 9.968. As Koller tips into the final turn, he's going to have the opportunity probably for just one more lap by the time he's broken the timing beam. So he's going to have to make this one and the next count. And he goes quickest at 2 minutes 8.808 for Hans-Peter Koller. That gives him pole position by 0.6 of a second now over Glauco Solieri. As he picks his way through the opening chicane. Lamborghini singing as the Swiss driver punches through turn 3 on towards turns 4 and 5. And at the moment, not much in the way of improvement for some of those around him. Teammate JP Mauro has just gone quickly through the final sector. Again, the top 10 cars covered by just 1.9 seconds. The top 10 now rounded out by Thiago Vivacqua. Now looking to make a little bit of progress. It's Marcio Basso in the Sporting Mercedes. He's currently 14th overall. He's got Hans-Peter Koller bearing down him, but Koller not on it on this lap, and I think he has gone as quickly as he's going to go in the session. And yeah, it would appear as if he's just beginning to back out the pace, but somebody is going to have to put together a fairly phenomenal effort to overhaul Hans-Peter Koller as the first ever pole sitter in the GT Cup Open Europe. Very, very impressive time, 2 minutes 8.8. That's about 1.2 seconds quicker than anybody was able to achieve yesterday. So the clock ticking down, and looking at the timing screen as we follow the Lamborghini, there are not many drivers who are looking likely to improve. Thiago Vivacqua blew through the first sector on a 35.8. Is into the pit lane as the check flag comes out. Come pace setters from the session. Doesn't look like JP Mauro is going to improve on this lap. Thiago Vivacqua also a little bit away from his best, so the order would appear to be fairly settled. Nobody, looking at our timings, is on certainly a lap that's going to trouble Hans-Peter Koller for that pole position. As Fernando Navarrete goes through, goes up into 7th place in his Porsche. That means that we've now got the top 10 covered by just 1.8 seconds. Here is Guillaume Pujol, and he is another driver who isn't particularly likely to improve on this lap. Rounding out the top 10 just shy by a fraction under 0.2 of a second of teammate Thiago Vivacqua in the Teo Martin Motorsport McLarens. It would appear as if the Spaniard is still pushing on his way on this lap into the final turn. Just wonder whether or not he will get a call to call it a lap. He doesn't, so he accelerates through, take the checkered flag, but to no improvement. Teammate Thiago Vivacqua, though, did make a fractional improvement on the last lap, and he moves up into 8th position. So an entertaining qualifying session to give us the grid for the inaugural race of the GT Cup Open Europe, which gets underway to just before 1 o'clock Central European time this afternoon, and it is going to be pole position for Hans-Peter Koller, sharing the front row of the grid with Glauco Solieri. JP Mauro then in 3rd place ahead of Manuel Sequada. Nicky Leutwiler in 5th, Juan Vinez in 6th from Fernando Navarrete, Thiago Vivacqua. Just got everybody now through to end the session. So they're either in the pits or have taken the checkered flag. So here is a look then at that classification. Hans-Peter Koller taking the pole position ahead of Glauco Solieri. JP Mauro makes it a good morning for the Vincenzo Sospiri Racing team with 3rd ahead of Manuel Sequada. Nicky Leutwiler in 5th from Juan Vinez, then Fernando Navarrete Jr. in 7th from Thiago Vivacqua. Eugenio Pisani in 9th, and Marcio Basso rounds out the top 10 with a great last lap effort in the Sport & U Mercedes. Field all very evenly matched, one would suggest. The top 13 cars all covered by just 1.8 seconds. We should be in for a very, very entertaining 55-minute race later. A look then at the rest of the grid with Guillaume Pujol in 11th, ahead of John Dvald, Steve Yes, Lino Curti in 14th, and then Gerard Tremblay, who completes the field. So an excellent race in prospect this afternoon to kick off the GT Cup Open Europe season. We'll see you just before 1 o'clock. Until then, it's goodbye from Paul Ricard.